I get them goosebumps every time you are around. I can't deny you are a clown. I get them goosebumps every time you are around. I sing this out loud in front of a place. Wow. I get them goosebumps every boom, 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 boom. You are around. Boom, 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 boom. You are a clown. Boom, boom, boom. I get them goosebumps every time. What's up, everybody? Solo Yacker here. Oh, sorry. I'm not Solo Yacker. My feet are not showing. What's up, everybody? Here's a great question / comment / dissertation / novel by Christina Rad. I think she's from Romania. And this comment is from Audit the Audit's epic fail and hit piece against freedom. So I made a video about how Audit the Audit is basically a bootlicker. I've heard that he might be a former cop. And I don't know if there's more than one Audit the Audit, but there was the first Audit the Audit and he kind of quit or had some surgery or something that was going to affect his voice. Again, I'm just going by memory. This could all be completely factual or completely non-factual. So I made a video about his hit piece against the right to travel, which dates back before the term sovereign citizen was created by the Southern Poverty Law Center, which he referenced in his hit piece against the freedom of movement. Anyway, Christina Rad, she says, first time I watched an auditing video, back then, they didn't even call them that, was about 10 years ago. Back then, there were only a handful of videos I could find on these issues, and from the start, it impacted me so much. I've been watching the auditing community ever since. But this is one thing I cannot understand. I am traveling, not driving. I just don't understand the fight to keep using that definition as it was initially written back when the number of cars on the freeway was not even a fraction of what it is today. Okay, so let me analyze that in my head. Doing this in real time. Traveling, not driving. Initially written back, a number of cars on the freeway. So now there's thousands of cars on the freeway and barely anything happens. So generally speaking, driving or traveling in your private conveyance and moving about the freeways is fairly safe. It's, you know, it's really a fraction of people getting hurt. And it's usually just acting stupid or playing on your phone. But if you pay, you know, attention to what you're doing for the most part, traveling in your car, moving about in your car. I mean, I don't know how to explain it. Freely moving about in your private conveyance is not that dangerous. The only time it becomes dangerous is when it's the person behind the wheel is really who's dangerous. Just like it's the person behind the gun. It's not the gun itself. This is my issue with it, she says. Maybe you can type a quick answer because I'm really interested in what you have to say and I'm trying to understand. Back then, when those definitions were drafted, there was a much different world with much safer roads. Again, the roads nowadays are fairly safe. In all honesty, I know very little about cars and driving in general. I don't have a driving license. I never applied for one. I've never been behind the wheel, not even in a parking lot. So it sounds like Christina has a fear of driving, and a lot of people have a fear of driving. I don't understand it because if someone literally put me in a small helicopter right now and said, fly this thing, I would watch a YouTube video or 5, spend an hour crash coursing, and I would try to lift it off the ground a few feet and maybe a few more feet and maybe a few more feet. You know, other people don't want to get behind the wheel of a car. Cars are not that dangerous. So basically, I know S about traffic legislation, not even here in Romania, not to mention in the US or any other country. But John, now you don't see a car on the highway every couple hours. You probably see a dozen a minute on high traffic roads. There's so many cars now that often you get traffic jams with all cars basically touching each other while moving an inch at a time. Even as a passenger, I'm always nervous when this happens. It feels scary and unsafe, like a catastrophe is about to happen any moment. At least that is how it feels to me. So thank God this woman knows, she has self-aware enough to know that driving is not for her. Traveling in her private conveyance is not for her, because it makes her nervous. So she's smart enough to stay off the road, because she could, you know, just by her fear of cars in general, could hurt somebody. But when I get in a traffic jam, I have no fear at all. My only problem is, with all the tax money we pay, why don't we have 10 lanes? That's my only issue. I just get annoyed and angry, and either make a phone call to pass the time or listen to a good song or something. My question is, would you really want all those drivers to be able to travel on busy highways without ensuring they know at least the basics of traffic regulations? No, I don't want them on the roads without knowing the basics of traffic. You know, etiquette is more like it. Why are public schools not teaching, you know, when kids turn 12, 13, 14, 15, have them mandatory driving classes in high school? There you go. That'll solve that problem. And I'm not saying it's perfect, and nothing's perfect. And the way you could solve the issues with traffic is, your car is your responsibility. If you hit somebody else, it's your responsibility. It's a very smart thing to have insurance, and you should get it. But if you don't, you could be risking people's lives, and you could ruin your own life. So that's how you stay safe, because if you don't, you're going to end up in jail for hurting somebody. Say you learn how to drive from your dad on your property. You don't learn about signs and rules and signaling and priority, or none of that. Well, then you've already made there's your first mistake right there. Education is your first mistake. Should you be able to take your car that you've only driven in open fields to a busy highway and just hope for the best? Absolutely not. No one should go about life that way. No one should go about any situation that way, where you throw yourself into something and hope for the best. If someone's, if his dad's teaching him on his property how to drive, I would hope that his father's lived enough life and experience to say, you know, when it says stop, you better slow the hell down, make sure it's safe to go, because intersections are where you can get T-boned. No one's saying just go out there and hope for the best. If you crash, you crash. Well, nobody thinks that way. That's not reality. Would you give no test, no, this person knows traffic laws and can drive safely, license of any kind? License, no. Like I said, teach it in schools. And if you want to do something mandatory, make it mandatory in schools that when kids turn 15, 16, 17, they have to take defensive and educational driving classes and consideration, and, you know, teach them that stuff in school, because that's when they start driving, right out of high school. Why not make it part of the curriculum? What about someone who is consistently driving under the influence and has already involved in a few lethal accidents? Well, if someone's drunk and is involved in one lethal accident, that person's right to travel should be stripped forever. That's how you cure that. Because him having the plastic card on him didn't stop him from doing it the first time, did it? If there's no license you can suspend, should this person continue to drive freely on the highway no matter how many mangled kids they leave behind? No, of course not. Once there's a victim, you're responsible. And that's what keeps people from hitting other people, is that they don't want to victimize anybody. They don't want to hurt anybody, and they don't want to hurt themselves. It's not the government threat that's keeping us safe on the roads. It's our own common sense. And what if, I having zero experience and knowledge, one day I decide to just try it out? Like, how hard can it be? Should I be allowed in traffic? It's not about being allowed. It's about having the self-awareness and the confidence to go in traffic. You need to self-govern. Police, if you're stupid enough to do that, the cops aren't going to save you or stop you. They're not going to be there to prevent you from doing it anyway. So why should they have this ultimate authority to stop anybody they feel like on a whim over a blinky light or a tag light or loud exhaust or tint or whatever other unconstitutional garbage they can come up with? All that does is impede people's freedom and extort money out of the taxpayer. Should I have the legal right to just hop behind the wheel and endanger literally everyone on the road? No. I've said many times, as long as you're not hurting somebody else, endangering the public, trespassing or damaging property, you should be allowed to do whatever you want. And no, you should not be allowed to endanger anybody. And another question. By that definition of traveling, should there be no distinction between driving a car, sailing, flying an airplane for personal use, you have a jet, whatever, operating a parachute, a magic broom, everything? There should be no legal distinction between those things. If you own your own helicopter, you should be able to fly it. If you cause damage, again, you're responsible. Individual responsibility. If one dude's an idiot with a helicopter, that doesn't mean every helicopter owner gets punished for it. That doesn't make sense. You punish the person who does the crime. You don't punish everybody because one person's an idiot. If you have a plane and you know how to fly a plane, fly it. Again, if you injure somebody or crash into something, you're responsible. End of story. Now, if you're flying a commercial, that's a different ballgame. Now you need licensing. I'm sorry if I come across as a daft. I don't even know what a daft is. Is that like Daft Punk? They broke up, by the way. And I didn't know they were French. And I don't even know what they look like after all these years. It's kind of what their music sounds like, but I love it. I'm sorry if I come across as Daft Punk. Like I said, I don't know F about it, but I am really trying to understand. I hope you have the patience to read all this. Heh. Oh, I already did heart it. I forgot this was a screenshot. So there you go, Christina Rad. Thank you for your long. It's about self-responsibility. If I buy a car, a private vehicle, private property, I should be able to use my car. And again, I wouldn't have a problem with the government forcing commercial automobile manufacturers to put an identifying tag on the car, and the registered owner or whatever, you can attach it to somebody, but not for the point of stealing everybody's money. Only for the point of endangering, victimizing, trespassing, or damaging property. All that other crap is garbage. Because I can understand, hey, this car ran over a kid, didn't have a license plate on it. So there's no way to tell whose car it was other than it's a red Honda Civic or whatever. That makes sense. But the problem is, if you let them do that, then they turn it into everything else. Blinky lights, DU, everything just to steal your money. So it's a whole thing of giving them an inch and they take 100,000 miles. All right, everybody. Peace, tranquility. Thank you for watching. What else should I talk about? Accountability Angel doing good work. Acura Amanda doing great work. ActivismNewsNetwork.com. John's Coin Rings. Soft Hitting T-shirt store. Join the Freedom Force. That's Ammon Bundy's thing. It's all these links are in the description. Hey, what else? All right, everyone. Have a blessed, wonderful, estupendo, mucho brate, tin tin bumper.